Hey guys, AJ here, back with another one for you. So today we're going to look once again at the dumpster fire that's known as the child support and family court system in the United States. Now guys, over here in this space, we all know how biased this system is against men, right? And I really plan on talking about this topic more. There's a couple of interviews that I'm going to do with some guys that have been on the business end of this. Now, I don't have any kids, guys, and I don't plan on having any kids, but I think that one of the best things that I can do to this is spread awareness about how crazy this system is. So I have an article here. It's called "Man Died in Clay County Jail Unable to Afford Bond. His Crime Not Paying Child Support." Yes, you read that right, guys. So we're going to get into this, guys, but before I do, please remember to like, subscribe, drop a comment. It really helps to keep this channel going, and hit that notification bell. So here we go. This was today, actually. This is April 23rd, 2023. Okay, Ryan Everson had problems. His family agrees on that, but they also say he loved his 3 kids. That's why they think that it's senseless for Clay County, and this is in Kansas, guys, to put him in jail for failing to pay $50 child support installments he could not afford. His children, after all, are mostly grown now. The youngest is 17. Even his kids and his ex-wife, to whom he owed the money, don't understand why he ended up deleted in jail at age 42. Everson had been behind bars 10 days when he was found unresponsive in his cell on January 21st. The sheriff's office said that he died by self-deletion. Everson's loved ones questioned why he was left alone in a cell after having seizures and why they got differing accounts from county officials about his deletion before the autopsy had been conducted. So they basically told them differing stories before they'd even found the cause of death. Absolutely insane. For those of you guys who don't know, once you're in jail, you are a ward of the state. It's the state's job to ensure your safety. So oftentimes, these counties or states who have jails will dodge, dip, duck, dive, and dodge to avoid taking responsibility so they won't seem like they're at fault and they won't get sued, right? So, the family also says putting Everson in jail was not going to help him become a better father. Instead of collecting any child support, the county's actions added another unaliving to a local jail that by at least one measure has seen too many in recent years. So wherever this jail was not safe anyways. And apparently he was on child support, and he was behind. So Everson's family said he struggled for years with addiction, which of course, modern women love guys that are shooting drugs, right? Everson said that he had talked to his older brother the night before he was unalived, and guys, I can't say certain words because of YouTube. So the two were close, quick to come to each other's defense since they were young. It's a sickness, Noel said of one of his brother's substance use problems. He needed some serious help. So Missouri prosecutors used to charge thousands of people each year for failing to make child support payments. In recent years, many counties across the state, including Jackson County, have moved away from that, instead pursuing child support through civil processes rather than criminal charges in jails. So I guess that's a step in the right direction where it's part of civil court. So, because think about how dumb this is, guys. Guys can go to jail for not paying child support, but then they're in jail and they can't work and they can't pay child support. Absolutely insane. But Clay County prosecutors have continued to zealously use the criminal courts to go after parents. Last year, they filed 99 criminal child support cases, of which 88 were felonies and 11 were misdemeanors. And they sent 109 people to jail on such charges after the defendants missed court dates. And guys, you might ask, how can these guys miss the court dates? Oftentimes, guys, they'll intentionally send it to the wrong address, or they will make the times all weird. So, we meant 9 9 a.m. and not 11 a.m. whatever. Or I've even seen guys where they'll send out the same court order to show the court with different times on each order at the same time, So, it's just one way that Missouri's criminal justice system disproportionately harms the poor and men. Like many others, Everson suffered under Missouri's historically overloaded public defense system and a reluctance by judges to follow state guidelines meant to ease more non-violent defendants from jail with lower bonds. Held for a crime of poverty, not violence, Everson's bond was set at a price he could not pay, partially because he could not afford an attorney. He did not get a public defender to argue for the county to follow state guidelines and released him on a lower zero cash bond. So, guys, I would say part of that's his fault because he should have got a lawyer, right? Even any lawyer, well, okay, maybe in this case, this public defender could have argued this, but he chose to not have any lawyer at all, which sucks for him, right? The justice system is set up for the privileged, Everson's older sister, Stewart, said. And that's the thing, guys. You see, this is his sister saying this. The women that actually advocate for getting rid of these laws and systems that are anti-male oftentimes are the sisters and mothers and new wives or cousins of men that have been getting screwed over. It just sucks that that's what it takes for women to understand what us men go through. Okay. The family believes that the county's decision failed Everson and his children at every step for issuing a warrant on the underlying child support case to setting a $10,000 bond and keeping him in jail without the treatment he needed. Alexander Higginbotham, an assistant prosecuting attorney for Clay County Prosecutor's Office, said the office pursues child support cases still aggressively because they're trying to make parents behave better. That is BS. Guys, for those of you guys who don't know, for every child support dollar that the state collects, this is all states, okay? The federal government matches those funds, okay? And then the judges get a percentage of all the child support dollars that they order to be collected. So this is a money racket. It's extortion's all it is. Okay, it has nothing to do with making parents behave better. It has nothing to do with helping children. It has nothing to do with that. It's redistribution of wealth from men to the government using women by proxy. Okay. Secondarily, it's redistribution of wealth from men to women. Okay? That's all it is. So, he also says that incarceration is generally the last resort in such cases. Clark Peters, a professor at University of Missouri School of Social Work and Truman School of Government, said he doubted whether there was evidence that Clay County's methods achieve the results they actually want. Because, of course not, right? Certainly, I've not seen one study that suggests that this actually creates better parents. Instead, he suggested that the better path would have been access to drug treatment. But that wouldn't make them money, right? If this were a cousin, a nephew, a brother, what would we want? I can't see how jail would factor in. We would want treatment that is effective, prompt, that is available, that's flexible. If we want to make this gentleman a better parent, it doesn't strike me that incarceration is the fastest, best path. But here's the thing. They wouldn't get the child support dollars, and they wouldn't get money because they also get paid in the jails for having beds full. So it's all, follow the money, guys. Follow the money. But we tend to get angry at these people, and there's good reason for that frustration. But frustration and anger aren't good guide stars for good policy. The better path would be treatment. Let's get him to a place where he can earn money in the legal labor market and then get to a place where he can provide for his children. That sounds reasonable, right? Apparently not. From the wilds of Alaska to Missouri, Everson met Shauna Almendarez in kindergarten in Alaska. He was a middle child of 3. His mother was a single mom, of course, right? The family of 4 was tight-knit and protective of each other. So when someone teased or made fun of one of the siblings, the other would jump in to defend them. They grew up in Fairbanks with the outdoors in their backyard. And when there was a massive snowfall, they would sled off the roof of their garage. During the summer-long days, when the sun didn't set, they would stay out biking across dirt hills and camping near small seaside towns where they would jump into the freezing water and devour s'mores. I remember so many adventures of us running through the wilds of Alaska. Everson was good-looking and funny. Swart recalled with laughter how he and his brother would reenact the the Hans and Franz bodybuilding skits from SNL. And during his middle school years and early years, he excelled at soccer and competed on a travel team. His friendship with Almendarez continued when they were teenagers. He asked her out. Everson fiercely defended those he cared about and would get into fights with anyone who messed with his friends, said Troy McMillan, a close friend from his high school. They would go to parties together, first stopping at a reuse site to collect pallets and discarded furniture to use in bonfires. But the two drifted apart when Everson started hanging out with a rougher crowd. His relationship with Almendarez grew more serious, and around the time they were 18. So the couple had a son. So when she was 21 and 2 daughters. They married, and Everson, he was working as a carpenter, a craft he was skilled at. But he gradually got deeper into drugs, and that led to their divorce and his downward spiral. When he was around his children, he was awesome, harkening back to his childhood in Fairbanks. They would go on adventures and from nature hikes to making forts. But those times they become rarer as years went on. So she moved to Missouri in 2015. He followed. He loved his kids and he wanted to be near them. Everson lived for a time in an independence home where a fire left behind smoke damage. Before that, he bounced around staying with a friend and even in an abandoned house. He didn't have a permanent address or a car. He scraped by without a job. He saw his kids, now 17, 19, and 20, when he could, and would buy them things that they needed, or presents when he had money. In one video shared by his family, he's seen with his arms wrapped tightly around his youngest daughter, Nadia Everson, jokingly not letting her leave his grasp as she laughs hysterically. Macy Everson said her father, he was a big teddy bear, and that he hadn't been around the past couple years, though they messaged all the time. If anything, he didn't love himself, but he loved his kids. At least his kids have his last name, right? Okay. In 2008, in Alaska, Everson was ordered to pay $450 in child support every month. 5 years later, that amount was modified to $50. That agreement carried over when they moved to Missouri and the state's family support took up the case. So when enforcement there fails, cases are referred to the prosecuting attorney for review. Last May, Clay County prosecutors charged Everson with 1 count of criminal support. They alleged he owed $30,000 in Alaska and missed $600 payments in Missouri over a year, making the offense a Class E felony, punishable by up to 4 years in prison. Even though Everson had never paid child support, Almendarez said she did not want to see him charged. She had accepted that she wasn't going to get any money and that jailing him would not help. So she should have went to the court of both states and canceled child support. Women have the ability to take their husbands or exes or baby daddies off of child support, and she didn't do it. She could have said, you know what, that money's a wash. I know that I'm not going to get it. Oh well, right? But she didn't do it. Okay. Noel Everson said charging his brother was not going to help him be a father. Doing that is not positive. There needs to be something serious reshaping and remolding of the system here because it's ruining people's lives. Ryan Everson, he was issued with a summons, but he did not show up to the July 7th court date. It was on that summons that a warrant was later issued and he was booked into the Clay County Jail. Other jurisdictions across Missouri have turned away from prosecuting parents for failing to pay child support. In 2012, Missouri prosecutors filed 3,108 felony charges for non-payment of child support. That's crazy. So by 2022, that number had dropped more than 2/3 to 897. So I guess that's progress, right, guys? Had Everson's troubles been just south in Jackson County, for example, he might still be alive. There, child support cases generally go through civil court instead of criminal court. So that would make sense, right? So parents typically don't go to jail. So the Jackson County Prosecutor's Office has not filed a criminal support case since 2020, though the Prosecutor's Office recently changed its policy and expects to file a few misdemeanor cases this year. Spokesman Mike Manser said they first attempt to get a payment agreement in place or refer the parent to an agency that can help with employment. If that fails, a civil contempt action is filed. In most cases, the case gets resolved with an informal agreement. It can go to trial before a family court commissioner. And if someone fails to comply or appear, a warrant could be issued. We have good success collecting regular child support payments, Manser said. A total of $821,000 was collected by prosecutors in Jackson County last year. In Clay County, Assistant Prosecuting Attorney Higginbotham declined to say how much child support prosecutors there have collected because it's probably a lot. A whole lot, right? He said the prosecutor's office takes a very holistic approach to establishing and collecting child support. Yeah, like throwing people in jail, right? Please. So the defendants are initially issued a summons, not a warrant, and arrest warrants are only issued if the person fails to appear. And guys, I'm telling you, those summons usually don't go to the right address, and a lot of times they do that on purpose because they want you to be in jail. Okay? So whenever summons are returned undeliverable, so whenever they're undeliverable, even automatic warrant. He said the office's standard practice is to agree that the defendants be released on signature bond with the added condition that the defendant will pay child support. Parents in Clay County can have their charges dropped if they successfully complete court-supervised conversion program that offers financial management classes. Yeah, so this guy who's a poor junkie is supposed to take financial management classes. Oh, man. That's hilarious. Oh, man. Okay. Higginbotham said, so the management classes and can work with a specialist to help them find employment, housing, and substance abuse treatment. Our goal is the collection of child support for the children of Clay County, so incarceration is always a last resort as a resolution of a child support case, guys. That's BS, and we know it. A wide range of actions, including administrative enforcement, civil contempt filings, and lastly, criminal probation, are attempted before non-custodial parents are sentenced to a jail or prison on a child support case. Everson was picked up by police in Raytown on municipal charges and transported to Clay County Jail January 12th with a bond set of $10,000. Noel Everson said that the amount did not make sense given that his brother could not even pay $50 a month in child support. As a result, he would remain in jail. Ryan was judged and guilty and sentenced. Ryan was judged, guilty, and sentenced. That's their grammatical error, guys. This isn't mine. On the evening of January 22nd, Noel talked to his brother, who had been in jail for 10 days. And Ryan promised he would be at his brother's wedding this June in Hawaii. He wasn't happy he was in jail, but he didn't seem depressed or distressed. So wait a minute, guys. His brother's going to Hawaii. He didn't have like $50 that he could have helped him get out of jail. I mean, I know that his brother was a junkie and he had probably burned all the bridges and all, but like, you know, dude, your brother's in jail on some foolishness. You know, help him out a little bit. But he, like I said, he's probably helped him out a whole bunch. So I don't blame him at all, but he's probably thinking, you know, hindsight's 2020, that he should have helped his brother out. Oh well. He wasn't happy he was in jail, but he didn't seem depressed or distressed. His brother's case could have been handled differently. In 2019, the Missouri Supreme Court issued guidelines saying courts should impose the least restrictive conditions for release. This must be weighed against community safety and the needs for the defendant to show up in court. Higginbotham said the court considered Everson's criminal history, the number of times he failed to appear in court on the child support case, as well as other cases, and his time living out of state with outstanding warrants. Everson had failed to appear in court at least 3 times dating back to 2017. With such considerations in mind, the bond set in this case was not an unusual amount. So I guess that makes sense, but at the same time, I don't know. So the bond was reduced on January 20th to $5,000, court records said. But he couldn't afford that either, so he would have had to have paid $500 to get out. As part of his bond conditions, Angles, who declined to comment and later did not respond to email questions, also ordered Everson to pay the monthly $50 child support. Matthew Mueller, a Missouri attorney who has challenged the prosecuting criminal non-support cases, said that the condition was not really appropriate in the context of law. So the purpose of bond is to make sure that the person comes to court and does not otherwise break the law. So it's always odd for me for a condition like this to be put into a bond, because that's not really the purpose. Yeah, he is right. For the bond, you're supposed to pay X amount of money to make sure that you show up. But you shouldn't be having to pay something like child support on top of that as part of the bond. As a bail system disproportionately affects the poorest, groups have formed so-called community bail funds. The organizations, often nonprofits operating on funding from donations, assist people who are unable to pay their way out from behind bars. So one group, there's a Kansas City Community Bail Fund, which opposes the use of bail entirely and favors a system where those facing charges are not jailed based on their ability to pay. In a statement to this newspaper, Chloe Cooper, the organization's executive director, said, "The system is one that preys on the poor and criminalizes poverty. While behind bars, they lose their homes, jobs, and everything they've worked for. The situation also creates challenges for those seeking to prepare a legal defense. So for those in our country experiencing poverty, innocent until proven guilty does not apply." And guys, this is true, because everyone always tries to make our criminal justice system flaws about race, and as a black guy, I honestly think that it's more about social economics than anything else, right? Because there are a lot of poor people that get shit on by the cops. And this is poor trailer park trash, poor blacks, and poor immigrants. So, in the review of the case, Mueller also expressed concerns about the fact that Everson was not represented by an attorney. There you go, guys. I said this earlier. When Everson had appeared by video in front of Angeles in January 17th, there was a prosecutor present to argue he be held in jail, but he did not have an attorney. Mueller said that defendants are put at a disadvantage without a lawyer, which is constitutionally guaranteed at critical steps in the case, and may end up giving incriminating statements in court. Guys, I say this all the time. Guys, never waive your rights, okay? If you were talking to the police at all, for anything, if you didn't do it, if it's something that someone else did or whatever, get a lawyer and keep your damn mouth shut, okay? I'm not anti-police here. I'm pro-good police. And I'm anti-bad police. But guys, we have rights. Never waive your rights. Get a lawyer and use your right to remain silent. The cops are not your friends, okay? They're necessary, but they're not your friends. Public service announcement over. Okay. The big issue is, had the defendant been provided counsel, he would have had much better chance of securing his release from custody. It harmed him because he remained confined after the bail hearing. Would it have been different if he had a lawyer? We'll never know, but it couldn't have hurt. And that's what I say. In a lot of cases, a lawyer is better than no lawyer. Okay. So Noel Everson said it was another part of the process that he felt was unfair. His brother did not know anything about the law, and that having an attorney could have helped him present a case to get released. You should have somebody be able to be there to be your voice and talk for you and know your rights. So Ryan Everson pleaded not guilty and was advised to apply for a public defender. A public defender was assigned to the case the day he perished. It was a total collapse of the justice system, says Noel Everson. Thousands of people across Missouri don't have the money to hire a private attorney, and the public system for defense has been chronically underfunded and overloaded. That often leaves the defendant standing in front of judges alone. Like most places in Missouri, Clay County does not provide counsel at every stage. Wow. But one jurisdiction in St. Louis does, and if Everson had been arrested there, his life might have turned out differently. At the beginning of this year, St. Louis Circuit Court expanded its bail hearings. Those who are detained are brought to court instead of appearing by video, where they can meet with a court-appointed lawyer. So the private attorneys are under contract with the court, which budgeted about $70,000 per year for that service. So the new system process gives defendants up to an hour to discuss their case, so before it's called by the judge, and apply for a public defender to take over the case and get connected to community providers. Let's kind of skip through here. Everson's perished. His death was one of 3 in the county jail in the last 21 months, guys. 8 months before that, authorities said Candy Hyatt was deleted from a drug overdose. The prisoner unaliving rate is more than twice the national jail unaliving rate. What? So according to data from the Bureau of Justice Statistics in the Clay County Sheriff's Office, the federal agency calculates the rates based on the jail's average daily population. But Sarah Boyd from the Clay County from the Sheriff's Office said when calculated by the total number of people booked, the county's number is much lower. Obviously, it's incredibly concerning for us on the rare occasion that someone passes away in our custody. So we go through great lengths to ensure their safety, and often that means putting measures in place to protect inmates from themselves, says Sarah Boyd. But even those can be insufficient for those who are intent on taking their own lives. That sounds like an excuse. A dodge, dip, duck, dive, and dodge, right? All 3 families spoke with the Star, that this paper is, and said they have questions. Lambie, 41, was serving a 30-day sentence on municipal charges. Her father, Denny White Topeka, said his family is still grieving, and he continues to question how she was able to delete herself in jail. Boyd said this was a separate housing unit with additional supervision for those on self-deletion watch. Both Everson and this Lambie person did not exhibit any signs that they were contemplating self-deletion. Had they done so, they would have received an intensive supervision and care that we provided them to keep safe. Wow. Hyatt was taken into custody in May 2021 for allegedly using a fake ID at a casino. Police said that they found drugs in her bag. The 41-year-old woman complained of shortness of breath when she was being booked. Like Everson's family, her daughter Katie Creech wonders if her loved one received proper medical attention. So the first guy had seizures, and this lady had breathing problems. And none of these people have answers. Sad. So the family said that they had concerns about the guy, Ryan Everson, his seizures, and wanted to know if that played a part in his demise. He would have turned 43 1 month ago. Wow. So guys, this article is talking about the jails. Well, I'm talking about child support here. Okay? Look at how crazy that this was, that this guy ended up in jail for child support in this crappy jail. This is what happens when dudes get on child support, guys. Okay? And I don't know the situation with his wife, but I know for a fact that women can go in and take those child support cases off of guys. So I don't know why she didn't do it. If the ex-wife honestly cared, this is her. Here. Oh, you're carrying that photo like you actually care. You should have gotten rid of those child support cases. Okay? So I don't. Come on, man. Now she's gonna play the victim and be like, "Oh, my kid's dad is gone." La, la, la. Why did you keep that case on him? Why didn't you close the case and they would have not had to issue the warrant? Guys, let me know what you think. I know this one is long, but yeah, guys, this is craziness, man. Guys, if you do end up on child support, do your best to pay. At least do the court-ordered minimum, all right? I don't know if you got to set up direct deposit or what, but you don't want to end up in one of these crappy jails, ended up, oh, yeah, this person who looked totally and perfectly fine at the time all of a sudden decided to delete themselves. So, all right, you guys, this is AJ. I appreciate you guys. Like, subscribe. I'm out of here.